Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Rep Path podcast. Today we're going to be focusing on what should I be doing during my senior year of college. So, for any of you guys joining in right now, if you're not a senior, that doesn't mean, oh well, let me just tune out. You could still get a lot of content, a lot of valuable content and information because it's still relatable to individuals that are out of college, are fully in another career, that are looking to transfer into medical sales. We're still going to give you a lot of tips today that you can get some great insights. So definitely stay tuned. Definitely stay tuned, guys, if you're a college senior and you really want to know what you should be doing, in preparation of getting out into the real world. So, but before we get into that, guys, as always, any questions, please submit them into the chat and we'll address them about halfway through the show. For all you candidates that are struggling, that are looking to break into this industry, guys, stop waiting. Join the Rep Path Academy. Please go on reppath.com. Look in the bottom left of the screen there so you can click on the website and you could see everything to learn more about the commonly asked questions. You could see the intro video there that we have. We also have the companies that we're working with and the testimonials of sales reps that we help break into the industry. Please sign up today, guys. Stop wasting time. Stop delaying. If things aren't working out and you keep doing the same thing, guys, it's not going to change. Okay. We can help you. We're working with students every day. We're helping thousands of candidates break into this industry. We've already done that and we continue to do that every day. So please go on reppath.com to learn more or shoot me a DM if you want to get more information. Lastly, if you want to see this recording or any other content that we have, any other podcast content, please go on my YouTube channel, the Rep Path Academy, and subscribe. It's 100% free. So you could see, this podcast and everything else that we have on the channel. So other than that, guys, let's dive right in today. So all you college seniors, one of the things that I got to just say right off the bat, do not wait because your competition isn't. They're already out there trying to do everything they can to break into this industry. So the biggest mistake you guys, and I talk to you guys every day. I talk to college seniors every day that reach out and they say to me, Joe, when should I get out there and really start applying to jobs? When should I get out there and really start pushing to break into this industry? If you're asking that question, you're already behind. It's never too late, but you're already a step behind. So you want to start doing it yesterday, guys. Because number one, these jobs you don't just graduate and all of a sudden a job gets thrown in your lap. All right. More and more of these college degrees, I hate to say it, I have one myself, and even though a lot of the companies, they want a college degree, but it doesn't get you ahead. That's just the standard. All right. There's a lot of individuals that break in without a college degree. But don't think that your college degree is going to be the thing that gets you a job. For instance, I always give the analogy when I'm speaking to different college students, the importance of sales experience. If you give me a Harvard biology major a Harvard, senior or Harvard graduate with a biology major versus an individual that went to county college and is a communications major, but has a year of B2B sales experience, 9 times out of 10, that medical sales company is going to hire that communications major because that's how much they want to know that you're a salesman. That is always going to be the top experience that they're looking for. Now, again, it doesn't mean if you don't have sales experience, you can't break in. 100% you can. We do it every day at the academy with students, but sales is still going to be the gold standard for experience in someone's background because that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be a sales rep. All right. So one of the things you want to ask yourself, what am I doing right now that proves I can sell? Okay. So a lot of you are involved in a lot of activities, a lot of different programs. You're probably doing, for instance, I get this all the time. I'm looking at different internships. Okay. Internships are great. Are they answering the question, do they show that you're a good sales rep? Or is it a sales internship where you're actually selling? If that is the case, where you're selling, you're showing rankings, you're showing your growth. There's a percent to quota. They have awards potentially at the end of the quarter or whatever they're measuring you in. If it's answering all those questions is yes, then that's a great internship. But a lot of times it's not. A lot of times it's more about observation. And we'll talk about internships a little bit later on in the podcast. But at the end of the day, guys, you have to be thinking that what am I doing right now that proves I can sell? Because when you get out in the real world, a lot of these companies, again, you're going against such strong competition, right? There's on average 300 to 500 resumes get submitted per every role that we post at RepPath in our recruiting division. So there's always going to be great candidates in there that are doing a little bit more. It's not just about graduating from college and then all of a sudden they're saying, well, I love that I have this young college student because they're always so eager and they're trained, they're coachable. We can train them. You're sometimes many times going against individuals that graduated with that same degree, but they have sales experience. So they're going to pick that individual first. So what are you doing now that proves you can sell? And that we'll get right into it. Sales experience beats internships, guys. Any sales experience where you're carrying a number, it will beat an internship from a prestigious company. All right. So again, like I said before, a lot of these internships, it's about observing. They very rarely in the medical field. This isn't like accounting or another industry. Because I had a buddy he was an accounting major, and back in the day he worked for whatever the big six firms, one of the big six firms, and he spent a semester and he learned a shitload about accounting. And they gave him entry level work. They let him work on whatever accounting documents, debits, credits, whatever the hell you want to call it, that he was working on. But he got a lot of great accounting experience that helped him. So when he graduated, that internship really helped him to get a position at that company. It doesn't work that way in medical sales. And I'm not saying there's not internships out there that can help you get a step ahead. Of course there is. But at the end of the day, they're not going to give you sales experience and say, okay, Joe, you're a college senior. You're working here a couple hours a week. We're going to let you get in front of doctors, and take over from where a rep that we can hire would typically go and just call on physicians with limited experience so you can get your feet wet. They don't do that, guys. All right. That these are sales. These are important, territories that they need to drive revenue in order to keep the company afloat. So they very rarely give you those opportunities. A lot of times it's a lot of observing, okay, which you guys can do that tomorrow. So if you're so bent on an internship, go out there and start selling. Go out there and start calling on doctors' offices. I teach this at the academy with all our college grads or individuals or college seniors or individuals that aren't currently working or working in another field and you want to get experience, just go out there and start doing it, guys. If you're interviewing with a company, go to an office, say, hey, I'm interviewing with company X. I want to speak to Dr. Jones about, XYZ product. And then see, because you're going to see how hard it is. I'm going to say it right now. It's very, very hard, especially when it's hard with a regular sales rep that has an expense account, can do a lunch, has products, and works for the company. It's hard enough for them to get time with the doctor. It's even harder when you're asking to get time with the doctor because you're interviewing with the company or you're interested in a certain company and product. But I want you guys to go out there. You got to go out there and get punched in the mouth, guys. I'm telling you, it's how you build the endurance for this industry. Because it's going to knock your socks off when you get out there and see the receptionist looking at you all pissed off. Like, what do you want? Says, yeah, I'll let them know you came in, and it's going to teach you how to get past those gatekeepers because there is going to be one. You call on enough offices, I promise you, there will be one office that goes, he's going to be right out or she's going to be right out. Go wait in the hallway and give it 5 minutes and they should be able to talk to you. And you're going to be like, holy shit, what do I do now? Okay, but this is how we grow. But if you're not doing this right now, today's a Wednesday. You got 2 more days this week. Anyone listening to this podcast, if you're still in school, I challenge you to go out there and do it, and then shoot me a DM and let me know your feedback. Because these are the stories that hiring managers love to hear. You're never going to get in trouble saying to a hiring manager, I went out there and tried calling on some offices to get the doctor's opinion about a product. Now, you don't want to say, I pretended that I worked for the company and I lied to the doctor and lied to the staff saying I'm the territory manager in this. No, that's going to get you in trouble. But if you're very transparent, say, I'm interested in working for this company. I wanted to get some information, get the doctor's experience, maybe even go out, get them some coffee for the office staff. And this is what sales reps do. It's not the glamorous part of the job, but it's the part of the job that you have to do sometimes. But if they hear that you went out there and did that, how many reps out of 10 are actually doing that? And I would say maybe 1 or 2, excuse me. There's very few. So if you want to stand out, guys, start doing that today. The more experience you get, the more stories that you have. You got to have these war stories where you got kicked out of the office, where the receptionist didn't allow you in the back. You had to wait an hour and a half to see the doctor. I mean, this is the stuff that they want to hear, guys. So go out there and get those stories. Get the rejections. If you could get 100 rejections in a week, that's awesome. Don't look at it as I was 0 for 100. I really suck. No, it's good. Get those rejections. It's going to build character. And little by little, you're going to start working on your craft. You're going to realize, all right, I got to stop saying that opening line. That doesn't work. So I'm going to keep fine tuning it. This is what sales reps do anyway. So I challenge all you to do that today. It's okay. Internships are okay. I'm not saying turn down an internship if you're getting it. But if you have the chance between a sales role and an internship, you take the sales role. Okay? Because here's the differences. I got to look at my notes here. Internships, again, they're observational. They don't involve quotas. They don't test rejection. All right? They're typically going to say, watch us doing this, watch us doing that. You're not going to be the one getting rejected. Conversely, sales roles, they're about prospecting, objection handling, following up, and the most important thing is being accountable to a number, right? That is so important. Guys, when you get a number attached to your territory, you get assigned to a territory that you have to hit a certain goal every quarter, you're going to see how challenging that is and how much that pressure kicks in. Because when you're halfway through the quarter and you're only at 10% of your goal, believe me, shit gets real. Your manager is not going to just go, oh, Joe, you're just struggling. That's okay, buddy. Keep working at it. No, they're going to be like, we got to fix this. You're falling way behind. You're ranked last in the district right now. And that accountability is something that is, you need the experience. You don't just learn that overnight. So the more that you can get that now, that is huge. So some of the examples, because I get this all the time. Well, Joe, what do you mean? What should I do? Guys, I don't care if you have to knock on doors, go door-to-door selling, whatever it is. If it's, copier sales, payroll, ADP, paychecks, enterprise, Cintas, Unifirst, uniform sale companies, Sherwin-Williams, anything in a true B2B sales role. And so that's another question I get all the time. There's a difference between outside and inside sales. So preferably you want to be in an outside B2B sales role, because you're going to have companies ask that if you say you have sales experience. Inside sales is okay. It's a good stepping stone. But at the end of the day, the reason why they don't value that as much as outside sales, outside means being face-to-face with a customer as opposed to inside being over the phone. Inside over the phone is good experience. It's not like face-to-face, because they want to see that you have the experience. The reason why they like ADP, paychecks, companies, enterprise, they know, number one, that you're going to get excellent training from these companies. All these companies have a great training program because they don't want to teach you how to sell. They want to teach you how to sell their product. It's a big difference. They got to teach you how to open or how to probe, how to handle an objection and really hold your hands in medical sales. Believe me, they got so many other candidates out there that already know how to do this. So you got to say to yourself, how do I get that experience? So other things you can do, you could do selling solar, roofing, pest control, even campus fundraising roles. There's look in your institutions right now and see if there's any fundraising roles that are available. Where you're working for a cause and you have to raise money. You have to go out and get money. You're selling. But the key that you want to do is make sure you're recording all your metrics. How much did you sell? If you were working on this for 3 months, how much did you collect each month? Show that growth. What was your sales approach when you're speaking to customers? They're going to want to hear this in an interview. If you're knocking on doors trying to get people to donate to an organization, guys, this is sales. That's not easy, but you got to track your progress. And also whoever you're doing with who's ever organizing this, see if you can get the data, what you're ranked against everyone else. How many other individuals are doing this? It's all about the metrics, guys. So if you had a goal of $10,000 and you raised 20, then you were 200% to plan. They care about percent to plan. They care about rankings. They care about sales growth, and they care about awards. Those are the top 4, guys. So if you could focus on those 4, that whatever you're doing, don't just do it just to do it. You want to collect the data, all right? And if your company doesn't do it because they're a small company, then you do it. You track it. Put it on an Excel spreadsheet. You keep track of everything, because then you're going to take that information. Not only are we going to put that into your resume so you could see more metrics, but you're going to keep that and put that in your brag book. You're going to make a copy of that. Brag book is simply, a hard copy of all your accomplishments. So when you get in front of a manager in an interview, you could start presenting some of your accomplishments. And it's also great because no one does a brag book anymore. We talk about this on podcasts too. It's great to have that information because very rarely does anyone even bring a brag book in. So all the more do it. That's going to make you stand out. So start doing this stuff today, guys. It's so important. Because at the end of the day, if you could go in there and explain that you did miss your quota, but you adjusted and then you were able to close deals anyway, you're going to be ahead of 90% of the competition. It's stories like that that really set you apart. The only way you can do it, though, guys, is getting out there and selling. And you can't tell me you don't have time. There's no sales jobs. I don't want to hear any of that, guys. Figure it out. If you got to open up a lemonade stand, and I'm not joking, open up a lemonade stand and track your sales progress selling lemonade. It doesn't matter. Show them that you want to sell. That's the key, because everyone says they want to get in this industry because of all the cool things about it. Talking to doctors, dealing with patients, being in the OR, making good money, being on your own. Yeah, of course. But do you really want to sell? Do you know if you could sell? You could get out there and be like, holy shit, this is really hard. This isn't for me. I hate getting the door slammed on my face every day, constantly. I'd rather just sit behind a desk. I don't know. You might feel that way, but you don't know until you get out there. So go out there today and start doing this. Next, guys, during your senior year, you got to start building a narrative. You don't want to just be doing things. You want to be doing things to build a story, because what do you want? You want to ask yourself these 3 questions, and really have these answers, because you're going to get asked these in the interviews. Why sales? Why medical sales? And why you? Why are you the best fit? You're going to get asked this over and over. They're also going to ask you why XYZ company, whatever you're working for, but that's an easier one. Again, you got to talk about your passion of why you want to get into this. It could be something clinical. It could be something about how you always want to help people, or you had something tragic in your family where your grandfather had dementia and you saw the medications help them, or someone in your family had a traumatic procedure that the medical device that they've gotten really helped them walk again or get their life back on track. Whatever it is, but you need a passionate story of why you want to do this. You don't want to say, I'm doing this because my friend does it, my cousin does it, my aunt does it. They said it's a great business to be in. I want to work with doctors. I want to work with patients. Guys, that's not going to fly. It's got to be deeper than that. It's got to be more passion, because at the end of the day, you got to realize, guys, anyone going for a role is a risk. Okay. They look at everyone. They don't know you. The more experience, the more that you can tell these stories, the more that you could show you have passion, everything starts to reduce that risk. And that's the key. If you can reduce the risk, you're more likely to get hired. But if you don't have any passion, you don't have any sales experience, you're just out of college and just saying, I'm a good hard worker and I really want this, guys, that's not going to fly. You're a big risk to them. So their odds are they're not going to hire you. They're going to hire someone that is more of a reduced risk. So do everything you can to reduce those risks. And when we're talking about, sorry, I lost my train of thought here. Sorry about that, guys.
Joe, you thinking about our pre-show conversation about ice cream? Is that why you lost your train of thought?
Head, man. James threw me off track. We had a pre-show conversation about our favorite chips, which now is in my head, and I'm all screwed up.
Talking about we're being fat.
It's so amazing. So I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought. But so what you want to start doing now, guys, is build a mock territory plan. Start working on this now. Pick a company, pick an opening that you want the job today. Now, granted, a lot of companies, they might not give you a job today because you don't have a college degree, but you never know. But approach that, start calling reps where there's an actual opening. And this is what we do during the interview process anyway. So you got to get used to this. You got to start reaching out to reps on LinkedIn or however you want to reach out to them. Find out wherever that opening is and contact the reps that are located close to that opening or just work at that company. But the closer they are to that opening, the more information they're going to have about that role. And you want to build a mock territory plan. So you want to know who the target hospitals, who are the key physicians, who are some of the competition out there, and build a game plan. Talk about it every time. 30, 60, 90s are bullshit, but they're not if you make it specific and an actionable plan for a territory. So go out there and start doing that now. Make this your little project because you could go in there and go into interviews and be like, here's a territory plan that I just built for a previous company that I was interested in, and you could talk about it, talk through it. They'll start pushing back on you, but they're going to be impressed because no seniors are doing this. Very few are doing this. They're coming out thinking, I got my college degree, and now I got to hope that this company likes college grads because they like people that are new to the industry and they want to train me. Like, no, go the next step. Act like you already work at the company. Don't act like a student. Act like you're a rep. That's what's going to get you a job. To show that you put that effort in and to show that you thought about an actual game plan, targeting real doctors to target, real hospitals to target, getting a full understanding of what that dynamic looks like. When you have these conversations, reps can tell you, yeah, Dr. Jones, he's one of the biggest doctors in the area, but he doesn't see reps. Or he's one of the biggest doctors in the area, but he's married to Medtronic because his daughter works there and he's also on their speaker bureau. These are real answers that come out. So if you could put that into your business plan, all the better. You could put those in as maybe doctors that you're not targeting today, but they're a reach for your 6-month plan. Whatever it is, get that into a business plan, a mock territory plan. Put that together, guys. I challenge you to start doing that too today, because these are all projects that they don't happen overnight. They take a lot of work, but it's better than sitting waiting in your, in between classes going, well, I still have, it's 3 more months till May, so I still have time. No, you don't. Start today. I can't tell you how many students that we have that are in the academy that started today. They started weeks ago. They started last quarter. They do it because they want to get as much experience as possible so they hit the ground running. We just had an individual who graduated from Penn State last year. She graduated in May, but she got a job offer from Arthrex in April. And then they started her June 1st. So she was doing everything though, but she was doing everything a year before that because she wanted to make sure that she hit the ground running. Now, if she hadn't been doing that, who knows, she would have probably waited another 6 months to a year before she found that role. Because that's one of the biggest frustrations, for parents and for students, but parents too. I mean, a lot of these parents are paying a lot of money to send their kids to school. They're spending a couple $100,000, and a lot of students come out and they're not working. And it gets frustrating because I thought the same thing too. I thought right when I got out of college, I was going to get my dream job. Granted, I wanted to go to medical school at the time, but it still took time to actually get roles that you really wanted to get. I spent a year and a half in a B2B sales role selling air purifiers. And then when I did well, got that experience, then I got my first job at Organon, where I broke into the industry in pharmaceutical sales. But if I wasn't doing that, it doesn't just happen overnight. You got to go out there and make it happen. Go get the experience. Don't wait until you graduate. So you also want to, let's talk about some of the things you want to avoid. Like I said, number one, getting unpaid internships just to get exposure. These aren't things that are really going to help you guys. Again, the sales is more important. Just because you got an internship, find out what that means. What are you really going to be doing? If you're not selling anything, there's no sales involved, then why are you doing it? Just because you can get the big company name behind you, or if they're not promising you a role, because I know back in the day, a lot of the accounting internships, they promised them after the semester, you will get an entry-level role if everything, assuming everything goes well. But in medical, find out what the real dynamics are. Is it a real sales role? Is there an opportunity once you graduate? How does that work? But if you're just doing it to put internship on your resume, I'd rather see you spend time in a sales role for a B2B company like we talked about before. Again, like we talked about, waiting until you graduate to start networking. Not going to happen, guys. You need to be doing it yesterday. Applying online without any referrals. Guys, if you're sending your application into a job and you're not trying to network at the same time, you are wasting your time on that application. Don't do it. You apply, but you network at the same time. You're on the phone with sales reps that are closely related to that opportunity, that work in the same district, that work for that same hiring manager that has an opening in their district or region. You want to be on the phone with them, learning more and more and more about the key drivers for that manager, about the competition, about what does it take to be successful in this role. All these things you want to be doing now. Don't wait. And lastly, assuming your GPA, that anyone gives a shit about your GPA. I think it's great if you have a 3.8, 3.9, 4.0. That's awesome. But there's a quote that I wrote down. Nobody ever hit quota because they had a 3.9 GPA. So I want you to think about that. Nobody ever hit quota because of their GPA. They don't care about your GPA. It's a nice to have. It's great to put in your resume. That's something you should be proud of. It shows that you're a hard worker. It shows that you have the skills to excel, in schoolwork. That's all great. But at the end of the day, it still doesn't help you hit your quota. There's a lot of 4.0 reps out there that are low ranking reps. And there's a lot of 1.5 GPAs that they're crushing it. A lot of times it's the lower to average GPAs that go out there and they don't give a shit. They go full speed ahead and they're crushing their number. So no one's going to say, they're definitely not going to say to you, Joe, I saw that you were ranked number one in your sales role. You were growing at, you were at 300% to plan every month, but I'm sorry, you were only at a 3.1 GPA. They're never going to say that, guys, and they're not going to go, well, you have no experience, but I love your GPA. Come sell with us. No, you got to show that you want to be a salesman and you can excel at being a salesman. That is always number one. So while you're there too, guys, start building skills. Start building sales skills, okay? And like I talked about before, by getting in the field, okay? The reason why that's important, handling objections is very important. That's one of the key, cornerstones of a good sales rep is to be able to handle objections. And unless you're getting objections, then you have to go, how do you know unless you're out there trying to get in front of people? being uncomfortable. You're going to be so uncomfortable when you first start doing this, but you're going to get comfortable being uncomfortable. But you got to start getting rejections more. You got to objections more. Go out there, and the only way to start doing that is putting yourself in a sales position. You also want to have time showing that, your communication skills, showing that you're coachable. A lot of the students, we always recommend, any of the students in our program, you want to get that down on your resume, not to just brag and say, I went to the Rep Path Academy, but it shows that you're coachable. It shows one of the most important things, that you're trying to own your own development. We talk about this all the time at the Academy. It's so important. Owning your own development is so important, guys, because that means you don't wait for things to happen. You don't wait. When you get for a company, they don't want someone that always has to be told what to do, that they have to tell you to spend some more time studying your sales skills or reviewing your clinical papers. They want the rep that goes home at night and is viewing videos on YouTube on different surgeries, speaking to high-performing reps, speaking to doctors to learn more from them. Whatever it is that they do on the side to own their own development without someone else having to force you to do it or force you into training. That's the kind of rep they want. So that's why with the Rep Path Academy, when they see that on a resume, it's powerful, not because it's such a well-known, the world leader in medical coaching. It's because they know that if they did this and they went out on their own to learn more and get better, then that's the kind of person I want on my team. I want that person that goes out there and owns their own development. So that's why it's so key, guys. Next, with your resume, I want you to do this too. Here's another good thing to look at your resume. If you remove the word student from your resume, would it still sound like a salesperson's resume? Okay. So don't think they get all warm and fuzzy and it's so nice that a student who's trying to break in, and guys, again, too much competition. If it doesn't show sales, if there's no numbers, outcomes, you don't show results, okay, you need to be doing all those things, because that's what a salesman does. The more that you can show that on a resume, the more impactful it is for those hiring managers. So look at your resumes and see, does this show that I drive results? If the answer is no, then there's work to be done. And we can help with that. That's what we do here. But if it doesn't show that, guys, and you're wondering why you're not getting any responses, why you're constantly getting ghosted, that could be one of the reasons. So look at your resume today and ask yourself, does this show that I drive results? Because remember, the competitors are doing that. They are showing that. Yeah. So, well, actually, before we move further, and I just realized the time, James, any questions from the field right now?
We got a couple questions, Joe, but if you got a couple topics that you want to finish, let's go through those topics and we'll get to the questions right after.
No, I'd rather do the questions because,
okay.
Yeah, this is a good part to stop.
Cool. We have Adele Tawadros, I guess is how you pronounce it. Okay. What's the best advice to transition into medical device sales from an a SaaS-based role?
SaaS-based role. What's the best? How is that phrase again?
What's the best advice to transition into medical device sales from a SaaS-based role?
I mean, again, it's showing your transferable skills. Whenever you're coming from a different industry, and the good thing is, coming from a SaaS role, there's so many similarities. There's a lot. Excuse me. So if you're not selling to doctors, you're still selling to some sort of customer. So you want to highlight your results. If you're in a true sales or a SaaS role, you want, and I'm assuming you're saying a sales role, highlight your results, show that you drive results, show your rankings, show your percent to quota, show your sales growth and your awards. Those 4 things, guys. If you don't have all 4, that's okay. But if you don't have any of that on your resume and you have a lot of generic daily activity statements like coordinated sales presentations, collaborated with the marketing team, guys, these are things that, no shit, that's what every sales rep does. That's not a result. That's a daily activity. I want to see you were ranked 2 out of 50, or you were at 125% to plan. You grew 200% month over month. You won a president's club or a rep of the year or even a rep of the week award. I don't care what the award is. Show that you got some recognition. Even if you could show one out of those 4, that's better than nothing. So look at your resume, and if there's no numbers and you're in a sales role, that's a red flag, because they're either going to think you didn't have good numbers and you don't want to put it in there, or you weren't in a real sales role. But if you're coming from a SaaS role, again, transferable skills, what matches what a medical sales rep does, and be able to verbalize that. Excuse me. You want to be able to show those transferable skills. That's number one, and also the results. Those are the 2 most important things.
We got Jake Morrison. Should I be building my LinkedIn profile now, or does that look desperate when you're still in school?
Yesterday, you should be doing it. Yesterday. So some of the key things, it's a great question. Number one, your LinkedIn profile is almost like your free billboard. We've owned businesses and we had to get billboards. Guys, it's expensive as shit. It's crazy. A lot of those billboards that you blink at on the turnpike or wherever you're at, driving around, and it could cost thousands of dollars a week just to put up some ad. Now there's a lot of electronic billboards that change every 10 or 30 seconds. So you're not even up there, for a month straight. So it's a lot of money. You have the access on LinkedIn, and I see a lot of you guys where you have, number one, your pictures. Guys, get a professional headshot. Don't shoot the one of the most common ones I see, which isn't terrible, but it's like I look good at this one wedding in the summer because I had a nice tan and the suit looked good, my hair looked good, all this looked good. Guys, get a professional headshot. Don't do that candid photo that you just pop in there from a wedding or from a party one day, or, definitely don't have the shirt off when you're at the beach, because I see some of those crazy ones. But typically on LinkedIn, it's a candid shot from wherever it's been with a suit on. Go get a professional headshot. That's number one. Number two, your banner in the back. You guys all, I'm sure, know about Canva. Make a professional but medically focused banner. If you want to get into medical sales, get creative. Show them that your banner reflects what your passion is. Don't do a New York Yankees or a Boston Red Sox or whatever your favorite team is. You're grown-ups now. No one
definitely don't do Boston Red Sox.
No, definitely not. Exactly.
Definitely not.
Definitely. Or the New York Jets. Those two things, you want to lose your job.
We're already bad enough. We don't have to push us down that far. You should see us as respect. Like, hey, you root for a team that's that bad, you must be a loyal person.
You might want to put that in there so they might feel bad for you and just give you a job anyway.
Yeah. The Red Sox, though. You're fired.
But seriously, guys, I see the sports teams, and I get it. Some of you guys have like your school campus or school colors. That's nice too. But do you want a job? So start promoting yourself, showing the passion of something in the medical field in that background. In your about section, a lot of you guys in your about sections need a ton of work. It just talks about, I'm eager. I really want to get into medical sales. I'm a senior at, University of Maryland with a degree in kinesiology, and blah, 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 blah. Like, no, guys, give a story. Make that be your story, that you're talking about your past, where you were, a high school football player, or you were a musician who was in the band and you played an instrument that taught you a lot about discipline, hard work, that you took those skills, into your scholastic career where you did achieve a 3.8, but you also really have always wanted to get into this industry ever since you were little. And again, your grandfather had that dementia and you saw the medications had an impact on him, that you want to be in an industry that has that same impact on patients. Make that all part of your about section. Have a nice write-up. Believe me, hiring managers, recruiters, when they go on there and they see a really well put together LinkedIn profile, especially from a young college graduate or a young college senior, guys, look at the other college seniors. Look at a lot of them. Start weighing yourself against some of these people. When you start putting all this together, you're going to outshine a lot of these other candidates. But most of you don't do that. You don't put enough effort into LinkedIn. Another key thing that you guys don't do, you don't post enough. You repost. Once in a while I see reposts. Reposts aren't bad. But if you want to get into medical sales, start getting involved in the conversations. Start asking questions. You could simply put, hey guys, I'm really interested in medical sales. Would you guys get a job, rather go to pharma or medical device? You're going to see how many people respond. But get your name out there. I mean, there's some individuals, I don't want to say their name just because I didn't talk to them, and get their permission. But there's one individual in mind. I thought he was doing this for 25 years. He was so involved, he was so visible on LinkedIn because he was constantly posting, constantly either giving a study with his own thoughts, or giving very, interesting, thoughtful questions or insights, doing all this, really getting out there. He's only been doing it a year and a half. I was so blown away. And he's been doing it before he got the job. So you got to start thinking that way. It could take one manager, one person in a hiring position to see your passion, that you're constantly engaged, that you're constantly clinically curious. That's another key. If they see that you're clinically curious, that's huge, guys. Again, show someone that's really passionate about this. That's someone that just doesn't want to do this now because it sounds cool and you're graduating and you need a good job. No, something that you always wanted to do. That is so, so important. So really take advantage of your link. There's so many other things on LinkedIn, but I don't want to get off on a tangent too much. But 100% start doing some of those things and you're going to stand out more. James.
I said I'm glad that you actually went on a tangent, because there was a couple questions about LinkedIn that you already answered.
Okay, good.
We have Jessica Lynn H. I never did an internship and now I'm a senior. Am I screwed, or can I still make up for it?
No, you're definitely not screwed. But again, now's the time. Sales. Get that sales experience. That's the most important thing. You can get sales experience. You still have months. You could still network. You could still reach out to reps, but right now you can get a sales job right now. There's tons of them available, especially with a lot of 1099 roles. For some of you that don't know what a 1099 role is, that's an independent contractor. That basically means you don't work for the company. You're your own independent contractor, that you're just going to get paid commissions as opposed to a salary and all the benefits, which is a W-2 position. So 1099 roles, they're admirable. When hiring managers hear that you went out there and started just selling, that's great. So start doing that today. At the very least, it was Jessica, go out there and start knocking on doors, start calling on offices, start trying to get time with doctors. Again, pick a company that you're interested in interviewing with, see the products they sell, then go to those doctors that actually use that. So if it's a cardiology product, go to cardiologist. But you don't want to go to a cardiology, talk about a cardiology product with a pain specialist. They're going to be like, I don't know why you're here. I don't use that. So start focusing on the doctors that would use those products and try to get a minute with them to get their opinion. It's hard, but do that. If anything, start doing that today, but start trying to get those sales roles.
We have Daniel Ortiz 87. When you say network, do you mean like going to actual events, or is there a way to do it that doesn't feel so fake and forced?
Fake and forced. Well, it's definitely not. I'm not a big, there's so many ways to network. First thing you could do is on LinkedIn. That's the biggest networking tool in the world. Get on LinkedIn, start reaching out to reps where there's an opening. If you want to reach out to reps, you just ask them, do you like it in the industry? What are your thoughts and all? Guys, that's fine to do once in a while, but you don't want to just be on the phone every day, just contacting reps for no reason, just so you can learn a little bit more about the industry. Start focusing on roles and places that you think you may want to work at and where there's an opening, and start selling yourself. When you're on these calls, you don't want to just be asking questions. When they start talking about some of the challenges, now it's your chance to say how you can fill that void and provide a solution. How did you do that in your past? How did you do that in school? If you were a waiter, and you're handling, well, Joe, there's a lot of different, you got a lot of objections. Oh, I totally understand. I handled objections all day long when I was a waiter, from tough customers, that were either dissatisfied with their food, and I had to handle that and provide satisfying service, so they weren't upset, and this is, again, you're still selling. It's customer service. It comes back to a lot of these transferable skills. So you got to be working on all these things, and talking about that when you're networking. But start with LinkedIn. Start going to hospitals. Challenge you to do that. Walk in a hospital lobby and sit there. You're going to see the reps walk in. Guys, you can spot them a mile away. They're either in scrubs. You're going to see them have a lot of the guys in scrubs you'll see backpacks. You'll see the company names on the backpack. You'll either see them in a suit, dress business casual. You're going to be able to point them out when you're in there long enough, and you could recognize the company names because they're either coming in with big duffel bags because they have medical equipment. They come with backpacks, whatever it is, you're going to be able to tell. Start going up to them. Say, hey, listen, I'm interested in the industry. Could I pick your brain? Can we grab coffee? Again, they've been in your shoes. They did this too. I'm not saying everyone's going to be sure, absolutely. I got nothing to do, but again, get out there and start making that happen. You could sit at a different hospital every day and meet new people. Sit there for a couple hours a day with your computer. You could do your schoolwork while you're sitting there. Every time you see a rep come by, go introduce yourself. You got to practice that interaction, guys, because they're not going to teach you this in college. College does nothing to prep you. And I'm going to get in trouble for this statement, but I don't give a shit. They do nothing to prep you for medical sales. They're not. I don't care how much you know about anatomy and clinically. That's all great. At the end of the day, they're going to teach you that when you get hired. But to get in front of someone, and ask them something, ask them to help you, ask them to, which is basically selling, ask them to do something for you, in an uncomfortable, you never met this person. It's uncomfortable. Again, you're going to be doing that when you get in front of doctors, asking them to prescribe your drug, asking them to book their next case with your device. You're going to have to ask, and try to close. You're doing that too. So get comfortable getting in front of these people because it's going to be very uncomfortable at the beginning. But everyone can do that right now. Go to a local hospital and sit in the lobby and start doing that. There's also, some of the other things, you can go to trade shows, you could do different events, but for now I would focus on LinkedIn and actually also going to offices like we talked about, and also sitting in the lobby in hospitals to meet reps.
Matt Davis grind. When should I actually start applying for jobs? Is fall of senior year too early?
I don't think it's ever too early because some of these companies, you don't know if they'll hire, because a lot of them could hire without a college degree. If you're looking, so for some of you out there, because I get this question a lot, do I need a college degree to break in? No, you don't, but obviously it really helps. So you're just, by not having a college degree, there's a good number of opportunities now that you're not going to be qualified for, but there's still companies out there, say in distribution, durable medical equipment, some medical device companies, where they'll hire reps without college degrees. Pharma, almost never, but you never know. There could be a company or two out there, but typically you need a college degree and at least a year of B2B sales experience for most pharma companies, but if you're doing it, you could apply now. Companies could love you and still say, Joe, I'm sorry, but we got to wait till you graduate. That's okay. But at least now you're on the radar. And you never know, because I know sometimes people are getting interviews and they're in their senior year. They're not even close to graduating yet. They're in the fall. We've had this happen, and they like you enough. They don't need you to have a college degree and they can hire you. And you could do a part-time basis at first. You never know. They could work out. I'd rather have you go out there and try than say, no, I should just wait. What does it matter that you took an interview and then they go, oh shit, we didn't realize you're not graduating for another 6 months. So what? Now you're on the radar. It got you interview experience. It's someone else that now you have a contact with. So absolutely start now.
We have Jenna Moose. What if I get an offer, but it's not really what I want? Do I take it or hold out?
If you're not even graduated yet and you get an offer, you take it. That's simple.
I don't know if she didn't graduate. She didn't specify, but what if she
well, for me, without knowing all the details, graduate, not a graduate, been doing this 10 years, if you are trying to break into the industry and you get an offer, you take it. You take it because it's, guys, you don't know if the next one's good, how long it's going to be for the next one to come around. Now, I'm not saying if you're already in the industry, just take any role. No, you get a little bit pickier when the longer you're in the industry, especially if you're working somewhere. But if you're trying to break in, it's never going to be perfect, guys. And you never know. You could say, no, I only want to sell in cardiology. That's what I'm passionate about because that's what my aunt does, my friend does, blah, blah, blah. But then all of a sudden, this orthopedic role comes out. You never know. You could say that's not what I wanted to do. And then 6 months later, you're like, this is the best decision I ever made. So at the end of the day, unless you have another opportunity that you're weighing against, what else are you going to do? You're going to reject it and then be out of a job again where you have an opportunity. So definitely take the role.
We have Nicole Sasslife. I'm interested in medical device sales, but I'm not a science major. Does that matter?
Does not matter. 1000% doesn't matter. There's very few companies that actually care that you have a science degree as your background. Once in a while, I'll see that in a listing for job requirements. They'll say like must have a science background, but very, very few. I'd say that's maybe 1%. Majority of them, again, like I brought up that example before, would you, if you give me the Harvard biology major versus the communications major, but has a year of B2B experience from community college, I want that B2B student. I want that communications major. They don't care, guys. Look, at the end of the day, I was a bio major. I learned a lot about biology in college. I literally got me zero ahead of everyone else when I started at Organon. Excuse me. Organon, we started out selling birth control and a pain medication. They taught me everything I needed to know during sales training. And then you learn even more when you're out in the field. You learn every day. But it's not going to really give you a big advantage, again, unless a few companies that are looking for that. But it doesn't matter what your background is. As long as you got that 4-year degree and that's what they're asking for, then you're fine.
It kind of rolls into the next question. Joe, do you think college actually prepares students for the workforce, or are we all just figuring it out on our own? I'd love your honest take.
I mean, I'm definitely very honest with this. I think college does very little, if anything. And I'm a big advocate that a lot of companies should stop saying that you need a 4-year degree. I don't think it's fair. I think if you get someone here's why it doesn't make any sense. Medical device companies and pharma companies, they love reps or candidates with ADP sales experience. They love it. They think it's great. They respect ADP. They respect their training program. They do a great job of training reps. And someone that does well there spends at least a year. Excuse me. They're a great candidate. Here's what doesn't make sense. ADP doesn't care. They hire candidates without college degrees. So wait a minute. So if I'm a successful ADP candidate and I've done really well, I'm the number one in my company. This medical device company or pharma company is going to love that, want to hire me. And then all of a sudden they're going to go, wait a minute, but you don't have a 4-year degree. Why? Why does it matter? At that point, what does it matter? I just proved that I'm a good sales rep. Now, what if the number 5 rep or the number 80th rep in the company out of 100 has a college degree? You want that person more when the proof was I'm the better salesman because I don't have the degree. I'll never understand that. That's never going to make sense to me. If someone please DM me, put a question in, challenge me. I want to get challenged with this because I think it's absolute bullshit. It's not fair. There's a lot of great candidates out there. I'm not saying college doesn't provide any value. You grow up when you get to college, but if they start, which this is what I want to start pushing everyone to do. If you want to be a medical sales rep out of high school, and we could start training those individuals now, and now they have a year or two experience learning that specific trade or craft, and they want to get into a medical company at 19 or 20 years old, I'd rather have that than someone wasting 4 years on, say, it could be a communications major. They never thought about medical device, and now all of a sudden they want to do it. What did that degree really do for them? How did it make them a better sales rep? That's my question to anyone that's saying you need that 4-year degree. Okay, what did it do? And very few people are going to be able to combat me with this because it doesn't make any sense. So I'm a big advocate. If you're good, you're hungry, and you want to be in this industry, I don't think the degree should matter.
I'm with you on that, Joe. I think unless you're going to be an actual doctor or maybe a lawyer, you can learn everything else on the job. Everything else can be learned on the job. Yeah, no, I've been in sales my entire life. I think just getting into the field, you learn the most. Kevin Russo, he said, I've been to pharma for 2 years and wish I had this advice when I was in school. Seniors, listen to this, man. That's pretty cool.
I appreciate that.
Got you already answered that question about GPA not being important. Sarah Mitchell, is grad school worth it, or should I just get into the workforce? Kind of just answer that as well.
Yeah, grad school, so the thing with like an MBA or any graduate program, sometimes it does help you for a more senior level or marketing position. But typically, if we're talking about sales roles, entry-level sales roles, it's going to do absolutely nothing for you.
Well, the last one I got for you today, Joe, is Joe, what's the biggest mistake you see new grads make trying to break into medical sales?
They wait too long. They wait to graduate before they start looking. They wait to graduate before they start working on their craft. They treat it their senior year. And guys, I was there too. I get it. Your senior year, you want to party. This is the last time with a lot of friends. You're away from school, from home. You're going to be moving home soon. You're going out getting drunk every weekend. And we all did it, but really, guys, just realize my takeaway message is it's one of the most competitive industries in any field. It's insane how competitive. I do want to kind of scare you with that, is that you getting your college degree is not going to be enough to get a job. You have to be doing more. You have to be working on your skills. Okay. That's why we want to get people in the academy now. We want you to start now. We're going to work with you until you get a job. We don't give you a 3-month membership. We stick with you until you break in. No one else does this. So why not start now? It's not like you have to wait till April or May until you graduate, and then you could, start working with us at the academy. We could work with you now for 3 months, help you with LinkedIn, help you with your resume, help you work to become a better interviewer, help you in a network better. Do all these things now. So when May hits, you're already 10 steps ahead of everyone else. So do not wait. That is the biggest mistake that I see all these college kids make. They wait until they graduated, then they start looking. And then what happens is all your friends start having jobs by the summer or by the end of the summer. Now, all of a sudden, because a lot of you guys want to party through the summer too, now September hits and it's like, oh shit, summer's over, college is done, real world time. All my friends have jobs. And now here I am and I don't have a job. I see that all more and more. So guys, start yesterday. You want to get ahead of the game, because even being ahead of the game now is basically equal playing field with a lot of your competition. So that's the final message I want to give to you guys there.
That's it, Joe. That's all I got for you today.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for that, James. Thank you for everyone for those questions. A lot of great information, guys. So I appreciate that. A lot of great questions. For any of you, again, guys, I know we talked about it a million times. Reach out to me for the Rep Path Academy. Don't wait till you graduate. Reach out today. We can help you break in. We're going to help you break in. We do it every day. So reach out, go to the website, reppath.com, send me a DM, say, Joe, I want to get started. What do we need to do? I'll walk you through that. It's very simple, guys. You sign up today, you get immediate access to our modules, and then you can join us for our group calls every week. That's where the individuals, you're going to see when you get on one of these calls, how some of the reps, how much more advanced they are. And you're going to go, shit, thank God I did this, because I didn't realize my competition is 5 steps ahead. So you start this today. And lastly, guys, as always, anyone that's a lobby member, please submit the passcode Licata, Licata, so that could get you additional discounts. You could just look at that in the bottom left-hand corner. So Licata, and that'll get you additional discounts if you are a lobby member. Other than that, guys, we have no other podcast this week. Monday, we have a special guest, longtime friend of mine, which I think you guys are going to really enjoy, because this is an individual that came from the diagnostic space, which we don't talk about too much, but then also has parlayed that into his own business working in medical marketing. So we're going to talk about how building those relationships and then fostering them and how effective they are. And this is how he's built an amazing career, by really fostering those relationships that he's built. So he doesn't just, build a relationship with a doctor and then not in contact with them anymore. He's got a whole book of business that we're going to discuss on Monday. So I hope you guys can make that call at 3 p.m. on Monday. Other than that, have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.